So we are back with more Everlasting Summer, and we're pretty much, I want to say, winding down day three. Yeah, and I got here obviously because a little bit of some skipping, obviously, so I made a few parts seem a little shorter than previously. But either way, I'm getting into what's going on between these two now, at least between Alyssa and Semyon. So it's getting interesting. The squares shine with the cleanness of a German road, which were washed with shampoo, or so people said. That's sloppy for you. And I just argued with Alyssa and nothing else. What for? I don't even think you know. My guessing is you're already kind of. I'm guessing he's already starting to think of her, without realizing he's doing so. Because the last time, the last few minutes of the last part that I put up, you kind of those two kind of get in a little bit of a back and forth type of dialogue, and I'm sitting there like, okay, sounds like they're arguing like a husband and wife. Which is kind of funny, is what I said, as if it was really necessary. And her behavior. Yeah, he's thinking about her now. That's what I mean. It's like I don't know, but it's kind of interesting how they go about this though. Each person, I'm saying, like in any other situation, I would have surely said that Alyssa likes me and just hides it behind her rudeness. Well, you could be onto something there. The problem is Alyssa's not the type that would wait too long, though. You might not want to do something to antagonize this girl because she's not Slavia. She's not going to stand for any kind of, BS, I would say, kind of stuff. But yeah, there is something to her that side that you're talking about, though. That's not important right now, though. Relationships, love, anything. Maybe she isn't even a human. No, she is. She's just kind of who she is. And what if she was a human and all this was happening in the real world? I would say she's just a chick with an attitude. That's probably what I would say about it. But I would also say she's probably doing it for attention. I've known girls kind of like that a little bit in real life, where yeah, they could be a little bit lippy, but you also know that there's another side to them that they don't really show that often. Yeah, I drove those thoughts away and headed to the leader's cabin. Tiredness had overwhelmed me. It was like an invisible obstacle stopped me in front of the door. Olga certainly would like to know where I was and why I missed the dance. I'll get a full interrogation for sure. Counting the absence of Alyssa at the dance, too. It would be hard to guess that we skipped it together. So I'm guessing Alyssa's the only one that doesn't get a dance scene because, and a few other CGs that I've seen, there was Alyssa, and not Alyssa, but Lena and Yana and Slavia. I did not see one for Alyssa, so that's it's kind of interesting on that. But maybe it probably because of the way she is, it probably wouldn't fit her personality to go there. I still think it would have been kind of interesting, seeing that, see how they could have like thrown her in there with a dance scene. I don't know. On the other hand, should I even tell her that instead of going to the dance, Alyssa practiced playing the guitar and I just went along with the flow? Nothing special, actually. Doesn't really matter why I left. So, at the same time, I thought that it could be better to keep silent. Well, I'll decide on the spot. I sighed and pulled the door handle. Oh my goodness. Jeez. Usually it's kind of like, I gotta say, you're out. If your personality was, if you weren't so bossy, I should say, your getup would certainly stir something in me if I was him, being that close. Olga was already waiting for me wearing a dress. That's some dress, I gotta say. I don't know. So, Semyon, where have you been? Wow. Coming in here, you got me a little bit distracted. That's what I would say. I would have a hard time focusing faceward. I don't know if that'd be me. I. Oh. Tell her that you've been with Alyssa. Well, that would kind of be throwing her under the bus because she would probably yell at her for that. Let me look up here because the choice we're actually going to go with is make up another excuse. So I'm hoping this is their way of saying, you know what, I got your back. Don't worry about it. Throwing her under the bus, I should say, kind of thing. I I was just walking around. Alone? Yes. Okay, that's not important. Why did you come into the bowl? Well, frankly speaking, I don't like dancing. So what? That was a public event, which means every pioneer had to attend. She looked at me intently. What if somebody did really? I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, not really. No offense, but it's like unless somebody kind of invite you to something, it's like what do I? What's the point of going? Kind of, I don't know. It's like I didn't really. I didn't go to prom. I did get invited to a homecoming one time. That was pretty much it. But that was it. I could care. I cared less about a senior prom kind of thing. Some people say it's like you got to go to at least one time because it's a one-time life event. Yeah, I get all that, but homecoming is kind of the same thing. You go there with somebody and it's like a dance. But in this case, I went with a few other people besides one person, so that's pretty much how that went. You could just sit somewhere quietly. I'm sorry. That's probably what I would have done too. I sighed. Okay, the leader softened. Go to bed quickly. The storm had passed. I tossed and turned but couldn't sleep. My head was full of thoughts about music, guitars, and Alisa. Yeah, you are thinking of her. I wonder, could I become a professional musician? Probably not. And do I want to be one? I have no idea. Why should I want to? It certainly would be pretty fun, but nothing else. I mean, the idea of making a song usually comes from within, right? Usually, kind of thing. Or is Alyssa the reason? You might be hitting something on the head there, right? Is she really like an energy vampire, sucking all your juices? That line, though. My eyes started to close, and I fell asleep a moment after. Day 4. And this is the day that, since a certain person is a recent subscriber of mine. Oh boy, here we go with the rattling. This is the day that I feel kind of pushes the relationship on the back burner a little bit because if I'm going to get a similar vibe, it's going to be similar here. They're going to be looking. What? They're going to be looking for sure again, once again, which takes a little bit of away from the girl's route, my opinion. But I get why they kind of throw this in there. I guess they don't want to just kind of give you it at one shot. It just feels a little bit random how they kind of do it. Like they kind of build up this particular point, right? But then they just kind of put it on hold and say, you know what? We gave you a little bit of some kind of a tease. We're not going to give you the whole pie right now, right? You're gonna wait. It'll make me kind of feel like Slavia's thing, like where they were getting. It seemed like they were making some progress, right? Day 4 kind of came around, right, and by the time those two started getting, back into where they were, it almost felt like you didn't really know who was, if the relationship was even going anywhere, because like at times she didn't really know if she wanted to be in a relationship with him, but and then he also questioned. So it's like at certain points, it seemed like they kind of rushed it towards the end. I don't know. It was kind of interesting. I'm hoping that they do Alyssa a little bit differently than the way that they did Slobby's route, but I guess I'll have to see how that goes. The ringing seemed to be coming from the depths of my consciousness, but I'm rambling too much. I do that sometimes. But after I came to my senses, I realized that the cause of this ringing is my alarm clock. Strange. Where did it come from? Why is it standing in my bed? I'm gonna guess this whole scene with him without even realizing what's going on here. This is someone he hasn't seen yet, but this person will be coming eventually. It'll just be the last person that I do in the game, obviously. It was 7:30 according to the clock. Olga had already left, and there was nobody to force me to go to the lineup. Thus I can sleep a bit more. I closed my eyes, but it seemed like my consciousness had already had its coffee and was ready for a long, productive day. I need to get up. Yeah, you need to skip past this because I recall what happened here. On my way to the wash stands, I met Xenia. Oh boy. What got you up so early? Anything wrong with being up early? Yeah, you're. This girl's personality might be somewhat similar to Alisa, but it's also different at the same time. It's more like I have a bad attitude, but it's more like uh, I don't know. It's like, did you have your period this morning? Is that why you're so cranky? I don't know. It's kind of something that comes to mind whenever I think of this character here. It's like with Alyssa, it's more like okay, it's like bad attitude, more like a rebel type thing, right? Or she just kind of wants that. Here, it's more like why are you asking me? It's like you're bothering me. Well, you're clearly right in front of this guy, and then you're pouting. What's with that? I don't know. She looked at me as if I had insulted her. But I mentioned before how I seem to kind of have a thing for, like, I don't know, crazy, out there chicks for some reason. Just something about them just, I find appealing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, though. No, nothing. Just curious. None of your business. I want to make it my business, damn it. You're not a damn route, and I'm curious about you more than probably the majority of this game, and you're just a bonus character from what I read about her. You can't do her until like you clear the whole damn game, which I find very interesting. But I am gonna at least try to include it once I could do Eula's route and solve the whole plot of the game. By that point, I don't even know if I'll be in the mood to kind of do her route by then because I have completed it pretty much everybody else by the time I get there. But I always say, if I do pretty much all that, I guess might as well just include her, right? Gosh, Zenia is a very sympathetic even when she's in a good mood, but today she just looked furious. She's always like that. But I also think she does it for attention. The cold water perked me up. The fog in my head dissipated and my thoughts started arranging themselves. Curiously, I started to worry about finding a good place in the canteen more than about finding answers. I brushed my teeth and was going to leave when a quiet sound wafted past my ears. It's probably a squirrel or some other animal. Ah, wait, this is going to lead to, if I'm guessing, Alyssa and uh, Ilyana's going to be coming over here in a second. They get undressed, if I recall. He hides, or maybe it's not this scene, or maybe it's another scene that I can't recall. Walk 10 meters along the path, searching for the source. Nobody, just the morning forest. Huh. Ah, Miku. I returned to the washstands and saw Miku, who was looking for something in the grass. Noticing me, she smiled and jumped up to me. Oh, hello, good morning. I accidentally scattered my tooth powder just trying to gather it all up. The dewy grass did seem to be helping matters. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, why? What else can I do? I don't have any more. It was the last I had. She pouted like a child who had just had her favorite toy take it from her. Here, I'll give you mine. I dug it in my bag. No tooth powder there. Strange. Didn't I just put it there? I walked away for just a minute and now it's gone. Listen, it looks like I have forgotten it. I didn't want to tell her that it had just gone missing. Knowing the sensitivity of this girl, it was safe to assume that vanishing household goods would impress her so much that her brain would reset itself in order to avoid overheating. Well, I'll be off. Yeah, cheers. Visit us. Visit me in the music club. I'm still alone there, but I. Yeah, you do talk fast. It's like, I mentioned, though, since you're kind of a new sub, T, I'm not really good at using a Vocaloid kind of voice, because that's usually how Miku talks in Project Diva, but it's like a robotic type voice, the person that kind of voices her. I can't really do that, but I at least try to give her somewhat of more of an energy kind of voice. And you can see the way that they do little break periods in between there that she's talking fast, and I can't quite do that. It's like, but it's interesting how she mentions like I've been to music club. Yeah, I kind of know you were in there. They're telling you it's like, hey, you need to do this, girl. You will, I will, but you'll be coming. I'm just not doing you yet. There's a reason I'm saving you. Miku's voice fitted in the freshness of the summer morning far behind me. Although, one sub, or I don't know if it's a subscriber or what, but somebody mentioned that I guess Slavia's route wasn't meant to be first. I'm not really sure. I kind of addressed the person in my comments section, but uh, at least they mentioned how after they played a few times that it's kind of what they noticed. Well, I didn't really see a walkthrough anywhere specifying which route you could start with and who to kind of go with. The only thing I saw in there is that you have to at least to do Miku's route, you have to at least have one good ending to do her, and then you need all the other girls' routes good endings before you could do Eula's route if you're gonna do her. Other than that, there's really no set way to kind of go about it. I mean, the only thing I can notice, since I'm on Alyssa's route here, she's the one that kind of has the main card game. So maybe if you did hers, maybe that could probably spare you some of the other routes of going through because Slavi is the only one you don't really take the bet and deal with the majority of the card game, but you still have to participate even though you don't really do the bet kind of thing. It's more like you still kind of have to basically lose the tournament anyway, even if you don't really bet with her. So they, in some ways, you still end up playing it anyway, and you can still kind of, even if you do like Slavia's route, you could still like pause at certain occasions, do certain things, and then still be able to get, with her. I pretty much did it like that, and that's how I did it. I think most people just kind of assume that, it's better to save Lena and a few others for last. I did it that way basically because it's the way that, their choices were presented to me. I figured, okay, since Slavia was first, and then it went Alyssa, then Uyana, then Lena. That's kind of the way I wanted it. I ended up doing it, so I just thought it that way. But I always say you can do it any way you want, so I don't really think there's any one way you can go about it. I mentioned Xenia back there. I kind of wish she had a route, but she kind of does, but it's not like the rest of the girls. It's like she has nothing to do with the main plot or anything like that. It's like she has a story about why she's there, and I don't know, things like that. It's almost like Semyon in a way, but that's also another reason why I kind of wish she has a route because just think of it like they have certain things in common, even though their personalities are different at the same time. It's weird like that. Okay, so let me go past this. There was an unusually large crowd near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen, but why were they all crowded on the porch? Oh, yeah, this is the part where I'm talking about. They're going to talk about Shurik here. Let's see. It looked like all the camp had gathered at the porch. There were all the familiar girls, Olga and Electronic. They were having a fair, lively discussion. I drew closer. Oh, Semyon, have you seen Shurik today? Nope. What's the matter? Yeah, here we go. We haven't been able to find him since early in the morning. Disappearing pioneers, well, that's something new. In this place? Yeah, it would be. But he was with you yesterday. Not really. I mentioned this the last time. He kind of bumped into them, only saw him for like a little bit, and that was pretty much that. Semyon kind of went off and did his own thing, if I recall. So he wasn't really around them. I mean, yeah, he's seen them, but that doesn't mean he recalls where he went to after that. She was talking to Electronic. Oh, well. Yes, he was. So you woke up this morning, he wasn't anywhere to be found. No. Why didn't you come to me immediately? Well, I thought that he got up earlier and went to wash up or something. Did he mention anything yesterday? Interjected Slavia. For example, that he was going somewhere, for instance. Nope. What exactly is so horrified about that? This dude never goes anywhere where this dude is one of those people that's never late for anything kind of thing. He's like the perfect Boy Scout, as I always say. I don't know. It's kind of the way I think of Shurik anyway. Although, When I first saw him, I kind of said, one part. I don't know what part it was though. Maybe it was the first time I kind of saw the guy a few times. I said it kind of reminded me of like a Ken doll, like like someone Barbie would date. I don't know, just kind of had that vibe about him though. It's only 9 a.m. He might have decided to go for a walk. You don't know, Shark. She looked over at me seriously. Well, no, I don't. But I didn't see anything suspicious in this situation. Okay, let's stop panicking. We'll find him. Oh boy. How could he miss breakfast? I like how she how they just kind of beamed her into the scene. It's like, here these three are just talking. All of a sudden, this character just pops in out of nowhere. It's like, how did that happen? I don't know. It's like, I just zoomed myself in. You're on a grid. Exactly. Time to eat anyway. The pioneers proceeded into the canteen. Yet again, I had no choice where to fit in. The only three places was at the table with Alisa and Oyana. Take a seat. She pointed at the chair next to her. I sat down. Aren't you going to get your food? Good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Today's breakfast didn't look that much different from yesterday's, but it looked more appetizing. Or maybe I was just very hungry. Who knows? Or maybe I was eager to finish it off as soon as possible to avoid yet another Oyana prank. Want to go to the beach with us today? When? Right after breakfast. Generally speaking, relaxation wasn't on my agenda today. But if I was going to spend my time thinking, why shouldn't I do it while getting a suntan? Sure, why not? Ah, cool. She smiled nicely. I bet you're planning another prank. No, not at all. Ayana waved her hands at me. It's more like she's got her hands near her face. I don't know. She sure is. Alyssa grinned. My goodness. She's always like that. I looked at Alyssa tentatively and suddenly remembered yesterday evening. How her strange behavior, our quarrel. But now she looked like usual. Maybe there's no need to say anything to her. Though I wasn't going to. At the end of the day, everything that happened that night stopped seeming unusual, as if it was all just a dream. It wasn't a dream, bud. No way. I think she's right. Nobody believes me. Ayana took her tray of dirty dishes and stood up. Enjoy your meal. She said in such a way which left no doubt. Nothing good awaits me today at the beach. But you're going this time because I get a familiar view. That ass. I'm just kidding. No. Me and Alyssa were left alone. I guess I shouldn't go with you after all. Why is that? Well, I've got something to do. And what exactly would that be? She looked me in my eyes, and I couldn't even find an appropriate excuse. I don't even have a swimsuit. Try mine. Oh boy. You think it would fit me? Give it a try. I know I said the last time, it's like, what kind of thing would you have him put on? It's like, would it be one of those Speedo things? I'm good on those. Like, my balls might get a little squished up in those, so I don't know. I don't think it's worth the effort. Don't be a wimp. I'm pretty sure it's probably not what she has, though. It's like, we'll find you some swimming trunks. Those words only added to my fear. Wait for me by the canteen. I'll be back soon. Okay. There's nothing wrong with waiting for her, is there? What if she came back with like some type of Tarzan type of thing, though? It's like, here, you need to wear this. What is that? It's a banana peel. What is it? Thing looks like a woman's thong or something. Yeah, you wear it like that, but it's a little different, though. It's like, I don't know. It's like part of the front like covers the area, but the other part's like goes into your butt crack. It's like I can only imagine like wearing something like that. It's like, oh man. It's like male strippers kind of do that thing where I don't know how they're able to do that without it like feeling uncomfortable in certain spots. Like, I don't know. It's just the idea of that. It's like, wouldn't work for me too well. Pioneers, all having their own business, hurried past me one by one. No one stopped by me. No one even looked in my direction. It seemed they didn't consider me a stranger, but exactly the opposite. Just another teenager their age, their comrade, you could say. I caught myself thinking that I had started to consider this camp and its inhabitants with not as much caution as I had on the first day. Indeed, Alyssa was back in a couple of minutes. Okay. Ready? Ready for what? She gave me the trunks. Though you hardly could call them trunks. I'd like to see what they look like. I'm kind of curious, though. They look like pink boxers decorated with butterflies and flowers. Oh, jeez. Put them on. Not really a big deal on that. I mean, yeah, not exactly ideal to go swimming with, but it's not the end of the world either. They were boxers. I'm almost afraid to ask, but where did you get these? Too scared to put them on. Well, I have not the slightest intention of doing so. I appreciated her joke, but wasn't gonna make myself a laughing stock. Put them on. My goodness. I said it the last time. I said, this girl really is demanding. She's like, I can only imagine how their sex life would go. It's like, who would be the dominator in the room? It'd be her because, I could picture him like not getting into things, and she'd be like the kinky type. Like, I don't know. It's like, can I use these handcuffs on you? I'll do everything but that. It's like, I don't trust you with a key. It's like, you might leave me there kind of thing, I don't know. She said roughly. I always say it's like, you never know with certain girls. Like, I don't know. It's like certain ones you wouldn't suspect it might be like that. And then they just turn out that way. I don't know. Why don't you try them on instead of me? I think that the color of this swimsuit would set off your eyes very nicely. Let's make a bet. I had no desire to accept her bet. Except this time, we betted last time and you lost. No, I'm just kidding. No thanks. But we also had to win because her route says so. Alright, you had to go to the beach wearing them, or you swim naked. My goodness. You really are a tease, is what I said about her. Weighing the pros and cons, even the second option seems better than the first. I'm not planning to go anywhere at all. My goodness, Semyon. If this girl, it's like, it's not really that big a deal. I don't know. Then I'll tell everyone that you left these trunks in my cabin. So, knowing what we saw from Olga during Slavia's round and towards the end, I could think that she would get away with that. And look at that kind of look. She's like, I'm anticipating this would go in my way. You probably wish that his trucks were in your room, don't you? Why would I do that? How should I know? Look at that. She burst into laughter. I didn't want to argue with Alyssa, so I decided to go to the beach in the end. But not in those flamboyant trunks. Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't be late. She read off after saying that. Lord. I dragged my feet to the leader's cabin to get a towel and to hopefully find something like trunks. Oh, jeez. Olga was waiting for me in the room. I'm curious how this is going to go. Semyon, did you hear anything about Shark? Same as half an hour ago. I walked to my bed and took a towel. Are you going somewhere? Yes, to the beach. Wait, do you have swimming trunks? You came here without any luggage, as I recall. Strange. That fact did seem to surprise her during our first encounter. No. So, what will you wear? Good question. What? I don't know. Wait a minute. She walked to the wardrobe and unlocked the drawer. In a moment, she had a pair of normal black trunks. Where did she get those? More importantly, why? Someone from the previous session might have forgotten them. Considering all the strange things in this camp, it wasn't really surprising to find men's swimming trunks in Olga's room. Maybe it didn't actually come from her. Maybe it actually came from a person we haven't even seen yet. I don't know. Maybe there was another pioneer that got kidnapped and none of them ever knew about the person, right? It's like we only see like the main characters in this game, right? But what if somebody else like kind of went back to the old, the old camp, and then what if Eula didn't like the person, and then somehow she got a hold of his trunks and somehow they end up back here? I don't know. I'm just kind of going with that, but probably nothing to it. But You never know, since she does make appearances on occasion when even when you don't see her. But they kind of give away a little bit of this person's presence when they're usually around him. But he's usually off doing his own thing or not even paying attention to when the person is around him. That's kind of funny how that goes. The Dutch were just my size. Okay. I got changed behind the cabin and went to the beach. A lot of pioneers had already gathered there, but I recognize only Alisa and Oyana. The only people we need to care about. Come here. You know what's funny about her route is goes the achievement for her thing, Yana here is Pato Bear. Yeah, that's exactly what it says, and that supposedly is her good ending. Uh, that's another reason why I'm curious how her route's gonna go. But there was something I saw back there, as I mentioned in the last part that I put up, where why there was a portion back there when they were doing things in the cleaning up back there. There was a reason I didn't show something is because I felt it was more appropriate for her route. But let's say there's a certain type of dialogue that comes between these two while uh, he ends up on top of her somehow, and she says something that kind of threw me off, and I'm like, okay, Gabe, what are you trying to do here with this character? It's like you lied about their age. I thought you said everybody was registered 18, and here came it's like, but this is the name of the achievement. Oh my goodness. Okay, you're literally telling me it's like, oh, we're robbing the cradle here, but he's not much older than them. Okay, yeah, but the way he thinks more like his previous age. He doesn't think like it's kind of like, okay, why am I in this camp? I'm 17 again, kind of thing, right? So even though he's technically supposed to be like, near their age, he more or less thinks like an old man kind of thing. Like I wouldn't say old, but it's like somebody that's like in their mid 20s, kind of thing, where it's like, I don't know. And you can tell at times the way he goes about certain girls in here, the way that he goes about them. Like you could tell it's like, even though it's like, uh, his body is a little different. His mind doesn't process what's going on with him. It's kind of interesting how that works. Come here. My goodness. I walked over to them and sat on the sand. Like, whatever you do, officer, I didn't do anything, I swear. It was just a character in a game, I promise you. I didn't do anything with this person. I was just playing, and that was it. I'm playing a game. You're arrested. For what? Because you said the achievement was Pato Bear. I said no such thing. Oh, did I say that out loud? No. I walked over to them and sat on the sand. I say you found something better. She stared at my trunks and smirked. As you can see. Come on, let's swim. I don't want to. Maybe later. I was not a fan of swimming. Sit yourself. So this scene kind of plays similar to the last time. I was kind of hoping that maybe she might grab him or throw him in the water or something. I was kind of, since you're kind of more or less pursuing this girl, I was kind of hoping maybe the scene would slightly change a little bit. But I guess it plays out similar here. The girl's run into the water. Why did I come here? Why am I not out looking for answers? Because, personally, you wouldn't find what you're looking for anyway. Should I care about it now? I don't know. Soviet knocks seem normal. Certainly a lot of strange things have happened to me during these 3.5 days, but none of them taken separately seemed at all supernatural. That's because you haven't run into a wolf girl yet. Especially since I didn't get any closer to finding so much as a clue. You're not gonna find it until the game decides that it's time. On the contrary, everything that has happened has only confused me more. What alternatives do I have? I won't get any truth from the local residents. Though I doubt they even know it. Should I try to leave this place? Although Shurik does end up making some type of robot looking thing that kind of gives it away that he actually saw Eula, whereas everybody else didn't really see her, because there's a point where you try to ask him questions and things like that, and he kind of dances around the topic. So the game kind of never really gives it away. It's just kind of funny on that. But he draws this robot-like thing, as I mentioned, with where it has like ears on its head. And you could tell it's like, okay, why are you making ears on this robot? And my thought was maybe it's like some type of sex robot, right? That was my thinking of it. It's like, what is he making? Turns out that my only option is to wait. After some time, the girls came back. Ilyana held something in her hands. Look. I looked up and saw a crayfish. Just a normal crayfish. Okay. Ilyana lay next to me and started to torment it. And as I said last time, this ass torments me. Not in a bad way, though. Leave the poor animal alone. Why? It's just a crayfish. So what? It has a right to live, too. I'll rip its claws off and ask the cook boil it for dinner. Good Lord. As if we had nothing else to eat. I looked to Alisa. She seemed to be totally uninterested in Oyana's fun with the poor sea creature. Tell her. What's wrong? It's a crayfish. It deserves it. My God. These two really are two peas in a pod, aren't they? It looked like the girls missed their lessons on nature in primary school and lacked empathy for the environment. Good Lord. Give it. I snatched the crayfish off Oyana. Lord. See yourself. Why are you blushing? I was a little surprised she didn't resist. I looked into the eyes of the poor animal. They didn't express anything at all, but I thought that if it could speak, it would certainly be outraged. Maybe it would even go to the UN Convention of Human Rights. My goodness. To tell the truth, I wasn't sure that would help. Probably not. I took the crayfish to the river and set it free. That looks more like a giant lake or an ocean, bud, to be a river. But who knows? I don't know. Never mind. I'll catch more. There are plenty of them here, said Oyana. No doubt about it. I mumbled. Oh, man. Time passed and I was getting sleepy. I fell asleep. I don't remember what I was dreaming about, if I was dreaming at all, but I woke up with someone shook my shoulder. Oh. Olga stood next to me. Did you come this one too? I asked, still half asleep. No. It's almost time for lunch, and we still can't find Shark, the leader said, standing before me in a wet swimsuit. And? I want you to look for him. It seems like I'm the only pioneer in this entire camp. I was sincerely outraged. Every time I was getting clear that Olga considered me her errand boy to be used like a slave. Or vice versa. If I came to you, then I want you to help me. Why exactly me? However, after giving it some thought, I decided to agree. After all, my shoulders and back got sunburned while I was sleeping and searching for a shirt. Well, let me get acquainted with unexplored locations of the camp. Okay. It was not exactly right to wander around wearing only swimming trunks, so I should get changed first. Now, this is where I'm going to call a part, because this next part, as I mentioned, is going to get a little bit tedious. It does pick up a little bit, because obviously I'll be going with Alisa this time as opposed to the old camp instead of with Slavia, but it doesn't get going for a little bit, but I'm going to be doing some forwarding, so it'll be a little bit shorter, so you won't have to watch the entire thing of that. Because I would say the one part of the game that I would say is just a little bit boring for me is that particular part. Not that it's bad or anything, but nothing really happens when they go through that part, other than a few little scares that they try to throw in the game. That doesn't really do much for me, but it's kind of funny either way. But I'm curious, I'm more curious of how each girl is going to go through there with him as opposed to how they setting the whole thing up. But yeah. So other than that, this is pretty much it. But decent episode, I would say, or decent part, I would say. There are a few things in it. So, all right. I will see you guys next time.